has been maybe a month or something, maybe. I took the holidays off, just kind of drove around a lot, watched all of YouTube and finished Netflix. So I thought maybe it's time to get back into it. I do have a few things to finish up on the C4, but my goals have shifted a little bit. I'm gonna turn to this car now. I want to get this running so I can paint it by like May or April when the weather changes. But before I get into where we left off and what I have to do to get this running with the wiring and the coolant and all that stuff and make a list, I have now completed 3,000 miles. It's almost 3,000 miles with the new paint job. Pretty rough miles with my C4. I thought it might be interesting to show you some things about the paint job. So right after I finished painting this, I knew I was gonna have to repaint it like the very next day, like that evening, that afternoon. And the reasons are because I washed through the primer in like 6 or 7 spots, and you can see I went through the primer and went down to the color, the original color, the black. And you can see black through here. You can see some black through here. And then there's some giant spots on the other side. So I knew I was going to be redoing all of this. Additionally, that night the fiberglass repair sunk a hole here. It wasn't dry yet. I think it was that contour paint. It wasn't dry, and I had a hole sink here, and I filled it in with epoxy that day. And then I've had some issues all throughout this part right off the bat. And you can kind of see the paint's kind of warping right here. So it's not smooth anymore. And so that's going to need to be corrected down at the base. This headlight lifted like all around here. So it was very damaged. All of it was very damaged. And the primer was having some adhesion issues. Well, I sanded it, recovered it, but the primer, I imagine, is still having adhesion issues. My assumption is that I didn't let it bake correctly, and I had just gotten it out too quick, because I started driving it like the next day and it was below, I don't know, 35. So I don't know if I did things correctly, but now the paint is doing weird things. One of them is right here. If you can see that like wrinkle spot, I imagine this, I can't tell if it's in the clear coat only or color. It looks like it's more clear from in person, but it's expanding, and I imagine it will just grow and like all this will peel off eventually, which is fine because I want a darker yellow. I've already picked out the new yellow I want to do, and I actually really like the stripe that way, and I want to correct the oversprays that I've done 1,000 times. One of the most interesting paint, not really paint happenings, but issues is this. I don't know if you remember, but this part was cracked down to like here. My driveway causes quite a tilt on the frame, and things bend and crack, but a new crack has formed. So man, I took that out quite big, and it's interesting that it's cracking here. Like, I think that's my repair. Maybe I didn't go out as far as I thought. What I need to do is when I repaint it, cut this out again, because I did a giant repair to this ridge and rebuilt the ridge, and I went through the entire car into the interior. So you could stick I could stick like 2 or 3 fingers in here, and I built it up from there. So I probably need to get a woven patch and splice it in that way, which is good because I have some of those issues on that car, So now I know that doing what I did wasn't sufficient. That's all to say, I still have to do the rear and the windshield wipers. But I do know the car has been an absolute blast to just bomb around in. It makes going to work so much more enjoyable. It makes coming home so much more enjoyable. For this car, we left off, I had to go back through video to see where I left off, and it was at this, I cut the radiator support. And that was the last thing I did to it. So now I probably just need to make like a list or something of what needs to happen for it to start up. So I need a list. I really need to learn why the paint is doing that, because once I paint it again, I mean, I don't want to keep painting it, you know what I mean? So what do I need to do? I need to get cooling system down. So hoses, tank, overflow, ignition, oil, and ICM. Brakes. I need brake lines. Yeah, fuel injectors, but battery cables, clutch, switch. I need to check vacuum leak, throttle cable. Oh, I should probably finish the intake support. That just doesn't seem like a whole lot to get it running. There's my list. So I need to get this running and then prepped for paint, and then paint it. Then I gotta build a Jeep engine, all while I'm still hot rodding that car. Man, I just don't think I let it flash. It's because it was cold and I'm not patient. It's been a blast to drive though, I'll tell you that. All right, a quick little update. I got a little more organized on getting my car started, finishing up the C4. And here's what I've done so far. I made the little bracket, just to, I'm gonna remake it because I don't like how it looks. Then over here, I smashed RTV all over the OptiSpark. And then I installed this catch can for the ventilation system to kind of keep oil out of the intake. And then tomorrow I'll be getting the overflow tank, and I think I'm gonna put it down in there, if that's just down in that area. So I got that reservoir tank down in there. Now I just gotta set it up and drill it in. So I have the day off today to kind of put a lot of work into this. However, the parts I need have not arrived. So I need to pause on this. I need the coupler for the water pump down there, and it's not here yet. It's supposed to arrive today, but it hasn't got here yet. So that's a little frustrating. So I'm gonna put that on pause for a moment and jump over to here. Doing a little oil change, and some things have unfolded for me that I'm gonna try to get that car ready for. So I need to stop doing stuff with this car. Therefore, I have listed this car for sale, and there's a few nagging issues that I want to get sorted out before it moves on. The biggest thing right now are the wipers, as in it doesn't have any. So put a pause on this for a minute and move to this, do a quick oil change, and I'm gonna hook up the electric motor. I just bought these wiper arms. They're going to be here in a few days. So before they get here, I'm gonna reinstall the motor and see if it works. I don't know if it even works. And check the door wiring to make sure the motor runs, and the wiper arms, all I'll have to do is click them on. And hopefully the next video will only be that car starting. So let's get on to this stuff. Following orders, 69,400 miles is what the odometer reads, which is 5,500 miles from when I bought this car. Here's what I use for these old engines. VR1 has extreme zinc in it for the flat tappet cam, which I am only assuming this has a flat tappet cam. I believe this car takes 5 quarts, but I ended up putting 5.5 in because I pre-filled the filter. And I am not sure how the wiring got so screwed up. So I've dug through a lot of these wires. There's just so many wires. I don't know if that's factory solder. It looks like it's more factory solder compared to what's been going on here before. But I did find this brown wire, which I believe should go to the wiper. And so I can test, I'll take the door off and test that. But back here, I also found a lighter pink one. So I need to test that. And so far that's all the digging I have been able to do. There's an orange. I remember there being a broken orange somewhere. I'm pretty sure there was an orange one. Dude, I'm gonna beat the crap out of whoever owned this before. Maybe the orange was down here more. I remember, yeah, here we go. Here we go, Polly. Here's the orange. Let's see if that's orange. I knew there was just a random dangling wire. It looks orange. We're making some progress. So all I'm really missing, I think, could potentially just be a purple. So here's how I plan on doing this. The way this thing was chopped up, so this orange wire, I have that big long orange wire, and then I found a brown wire, and then maybe a gray. So I'm going to put a probe on this end and check for a continuity with that side. I'm going to take this little thing, put it on continuity, and hopefully it will beep if there's continuity. Now, according to the diagram, where'd that go? If I touch this, so that's not the same brown wire, huh? Okay, so that is the different brown wire, unless my connection's bad. So let's check the connection real quick. Okay, switched wires. We'll check the other one now. Okay, there we go. So that's a wiper one. That's a brown one to that brown one. See how that worked? So I switched them. Let me get it straight. I switched them, checking this brown one right here. Dragging it to over here. Shows continuity. So we've located one of the 6 wires. I'm not really sure what is happening, but I have this, and these are 2, and when I was digging through things, I just noticed this. So that goes there to the motor. So I made a little bit of progress, and I have 2 things holding me up right now on the windshield wiper motor. I have found the orange. I've traced the orange in the engine bay. I've traced the gray in the engine bay. I have traced the purple. And now there is a white that is supposed to go to the fuse box, as you can see by this diagram that I found, and also by this diagram that I found. These things point me to a white connection that runs over to the fuse box, and I can test the fuse, but I'm not getting a signal from this particular white wire over to the fuse box. I tried to do it with the car on because, as you can see again, in this diagram that right up at the top it says fuse, and if you're heading to the left then it says ignition, and then it says ground. But I am not getting anything from the fuse to ground or the fuse to over on this side of the car. That is the reason all of these other ones are spliced up, because I tested all of these as well. One of the last two obstacles is that I need the ground power wire, and I believe this is it because it's white. When I look at the motor, so obviously this is a problem in and of itself. Not something I can't overcome though. I can cover it somehow. Or buy a new motor, which is probably what I'll end up doing. But this is the last giant hurdle. So the orange will go into this middle prong. And then these are two grays. One comes from the switch and one goes out to the motor. The problem I'm having is I can't find this connector. You can buy this connector and you can buy this connector, but I cannot find this connector online. So what I'm going to end up doing might be a little dangerous, but I thought just getting, maybe if I just get some clips to put on here, but now that I'm looking at it, that's really close. Frankly, that would probably arc a little bit, so I don't know if I should be doing that. When the store's open tomorrow morning, I'll go look to see if they have any types of switch, because I could even use a 2-prong, or I can just maybe pry in some single ones. Alright, kind of cleaned up the wiring, got it away from the dipstick, which I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Got the motor mounted, and now I just need to, it's 1 in the morning, so I got stuck on the nuts are missing. After that, tomorrow I will also go get some clips and try to do some magic. So I stopped that project for just a second, and my coupling came, so I just installed the water pump. Probably gonna call it a night tonight. I'm dealing with this water tank, the overflow tank, and what I'm trying to do now is this will sit down there, and I'm gonna have the overflow from the pressure tank running to here, but I need a hose to run down so when it overflows it will run back out, and I also need another spigot to be the drain. One down. Oh, install this 2 down, and I also changed the oil. Almost have the wiper electrical done, and almost have that done. I learned quite a bit today, actually. Not done yet. While I was working on this, I just realized there's my oil pressure sensor. Why don't I have a plug for that? You know, I forgot to wear my microphone and most of that, so that's going to be pretty good quality content. So first, a little update. I extended the orange wire a little bit, and as far as I can tell, it goes on this second or the center prong. So first one done, a couple more to go. I think I have everything hooked up. What you want to watch are these, or the arms down in there. You can see the little silver nuts. I'm going to try to get those to move. I just need to plug this in. Oh, I think the pin's pulled already. Instructions: pull pin, blast. That's good. So my fire extinguisher doesn't work. I'm glad I've had that in my car. Check for some hot wiring. Take this, turn it on, off, plug it in, Turn the key on, maybe? Nothing. So that's nothing. Let's try a different wire. One thing I'm not getting, here's a gray one. Let's try this gray one. So do I need to figure out if it's spliced somewhere else? Yes, I do. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, this doesn't look like a mess. Man, this dude was so excited about splicing up wires. How do I get there? I need a wire running to the fuse. I would suspect it's one of these. I went through and wired this thing up. I don't know if I have the wires backwards yet, but we're about to find out, apparently. What you're looking for is this thing will move or a fire will start, like right over here. And nothing's happening. We try again on this wire, since it did something also. Ay, ay, ay. Those wires work. Those two sparked though. Something's going on. It's not good. Oh, I don't have the brown hooked up now. Forgot to hook the brown up. Now the brown is hooked up. Let's try again. Oh, what was that? So that's not that one. That's the door lock. That's hilarious. That's also the door lock. Why are all of those controlling the door release? What is happening here is I'm trying to find, when I click on here, it releases the hatch. When I click on here, releases the hatch, hatch. Oh, it's just releasing the hatch. Did I put that on the wrong one? So that's the hatch button. It's hilarious. Oh, look at that. It sounds like a windshield thing. That's pretty crazy. A trunk release. What I think I need to do is, oh my gosh, I found more wires. There are more wires. Look at that. You kidding me? What happened to this car? Who would do this to a car? These arc on each other, so I can't have them by each other. Get a little more personal with this thing. So these have been chopped. Why would you chop this? Why would you keep chopping this? Oh my gosh, dude. I want to kill this guy so badly. Well, I can continue my quest for going back to the fuse box. That's a good idea. And seeing what I need to chop out. Okay, now we have all these wires. So let me walk you through where I'm at and probably wrapping up the show for today. Kind of think it's my motor, but what I ended up doing was taping off all the wires, making sure they don't arc, checking that everything is still operable back here, and I removed the motor once again. When I was working that little switch, there was kind of like a random arc sound up in here. Not sure why that is. I do believe I traced the wiring correctly, and so I found several old motors that have all the connectors actually in the motor still that I can use. I'm gonna try to order one of those tonight, I believe. All in all, what it means is that I have some homework. I'm going to be testing my switch. It seems like the misting function works, because when I had it hooked up wrong, it kept triggering my triggering my hat. So I think that works, but I'm gonna test it. So that's not gonna be a very quick update. To keep the ball rolling on this stuff, I'm trying to get, a video out more often than not. So I'll shift back over to that car. In the meantime, I'll list this car. Really, the last thing I want to do before I sell the car is get the wipers going. not necessarily before I sell the car, but the biggest thing I have right now is to get the wipers going. Other than that, I just want to get that car running. So, stay tuned for the window motor mystery resolution, and seeing how many more wires and systems we can find in this car that this guy has just chopped up. Someone has got to take away his scissors. Part 2 sometime in the future. Next, it's going to be getting that car running though. So